Most people live their entire lives chasing attention without ever realizing it. They mistake noise for impact, movement for progress, attention for meaning, and by the time they understand the difference, it's already too late. Because there is a quiet force shaping every legacy on Earth. And today you're going to see exactly how it works. This is the path of the unstoppable. Not the loud, not the celebrated, but the ones who act with purpose when no one is watching. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever wondered whether your effort even matters, then this video is for you. But there's a price. To use it, you must kill the version of yourself that craves recognition. And most people will never be brave enough to do that. Because the ego would rather be praised than be useful. It would rather be seen than be effective. But before I show you how Elias lived, before I reveal what he understood that quietly shaped everything around him, take a moment. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment, "I choose purpose," if you're genuinely ready to live differently. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. Let's begin. Elias lived in a town so ordinary it barely appeared on maps, the kind of place people pass through without memory. Clean streets, predictable days, familiar faces that blur together over time. Nothing was broken enough to demand change. Nothing was painful enough to spark rebellion. People woke up, went to work, came home tired, ate dinner, slept, and repeated. Life there wasn't cruel, it wasn't harsh, it wasn't dramatic. It was comfortable. And that was the danger. Comfort dulls urgency. Comfort numbs purpose. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow will always be there. Elias looked no different from anyone else. No wealth, no influence, no charisma that filled rooms or turned heads. If you passed him on the street, you wouldn't look twice. Your eyes would slide past him without resistance. And yet, something inside him was different. Not ambition, not hunger for success, not the desperate need to become someone important, but a quiet conviction, a belief he couldn't explain but couldn't silence either, that his life was meant to mean something, even if no one ever applauded. Every morning, before the town stirred awake, Elias rose with the sun. Not because he was disciplined in the way people brag about discipline, not because he followed routines from books or podcasts, but because he believed mornings were sacred. A time before the world demanded performance. A space where intention could exist without witnesses. He swept dust from his doorstep, not to impress neighbors, not because anyone asked, not because it would earn him praise, but because care, to him, was a form of respect. He fixed loose hinges on public doors, returned lost items anonymously, paused when people spoke and truly listened, not waiting for his turn to talk, not scanning for an escape, but present, fully. These weren't grand gestures. They didn't earn applause. They didn't change the world overnight. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, doubt began to creep in. Years passed. Children grew into adults. Shops changed owners, faces aged, seasons blurred into one another. Elias grew older, his hair silvered, his steps slowed. His hands, once quick, now carried the quiet weight of time. And sometimes, alone with his thoughts, a question surfaced. A question that visits every honest person eventually. What difference am I really making? No statues bore his name. No speeches mentioned him. No public thanks arrived to confirm his effort mattered. There was no scoreboard for kindness. No metric for quiet consistency. Modern psychology calls this the meaning gap. That painful space where effort and recognition don't align. Where the brain asks, if this matters, why can't I see the reward? And most people quit right there. Because the human mind craves visible feedback. Dopamine spikes with likes, applause, and approval. The brain wants proof, now, not later, not eventually, not invisibly. Elias had none. Then the storm came. Not a metaphor, not a lesson disguised as weather. A real storm. Wind tore through the town like something angry and alive. Rain flooded streets. Power vanished. Darkness swallowed the night whole. Fear followed quickly behind. People realized how fragile their routines were, how dependent they'd become on systems they never questioned. Panic spread. Except, something strange happened. The drainage Elias had cleared for years kept homes from flooding. The doors he repaired held firm against the wind. The paths he quietly maintained guided people through chaos. And the people he had helped, without asking, without credit, began helping each other. Calmly, steadily, without waiting to be told. Psychologists call this behavioral modeling. When consistent action silently teaches others how to respond under pressure, humans don't rise to ideals, they fall to habits, and habits are contagious. Elias never told anyone how to be strong. He never preached resilience. Never lectured about responsibility. He showed them, day after day, action after action, when no one was watching. By morning, the town still stood, bruised, wet, tired, but standing. As people emerged from their homes, a quiet understanding passed between them. Something had held, something unseen. Later that day, a young boy approached Elias. "My father says you taught him how to help without being asked," the boy said. "He says that's why he helped our neighbors last night." And in that moment, something shifted inside Elias. Not pride, not triumph, clarity. He began to see what he'd missed. A teacher who stayed late because Elias once encouraged her when she felt invisible. A shopkeeper who greeted strangers kindly, inspired by his quiet courtesy. A neighbor who repaired a fence simply because it was the right thing to do. Small ripples, invisible currents, moving outward in ways no one could track. Neuroscience confirms this. Consistent, purposeful action doesn't just rewire your brain. It reshapes the environment around you. Identity is not private, it leaks. Your behavior teaches people who you are long before your words ever do. Elias never stood on a stage, never spoke about legacy, never wrote a manifesto. But his actions spoke daily, patiently, relentlessly, without demand. He learned something most never do. Leaving your mark isn't about carving your name into stone. It's about carving integrity into habits, care into moments, purpose into the ordinary. Ancient philosophers understood this. The Stoics called it virtue in action. Zen monks called it mindful labor. Modern psychology calls it identity-based behavior. Different languages, same truth. You don't become meaningful by chasing meaning. You become meaningful by becoming consistent. When Elias eventually passed, the town gathered. Not in grandeur, not with banners or speeches, but with quiet gratitude. Stories were shared, moments remembered, lessons recognized. Too late for applause, but not too late for impact. No monument was built, none was needed, because his mark lived on. In repaired doors, in steady hands, in kinder choices, in a community shaped by unseen discipline. Great change doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives quietly, daily, unnoticed, with someone choosing again and again to act with purpose when no one is watching. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're waiting to be noticed before you act, you'll never leave a mark. But if you act as if meaning already lives inside you, the world will eventually bend around it. So ask yourself, what quiet action will define you today? If this changed how you see purpose, subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what's the first intentional act you'll take today? Because legacy doesn't begin at the end. It begins the moment you stop waiting to be seen and start choosing to matter.